Well, I'm at the green, well, dark green VS, because, well, technically they're both green. It runs like an absolute piece of shit. It's cold at the moment. This is what it sounds like. I've left it in gear, so no, I haven't. I'd say that starter motor needs something doing, but you probably can't hear it, and I don't want to run it long because I'm doing plugs, but yeah, it's sort of running a bit better, but I started it up to move it back a couple of feet, and yeah, it just ran like an absolute piece of shit. It was rough and, you know, uneven and shit. And whether or not this thing has head gasket problems, the spark plugs are absolutely fucked, so it runs like a total piece of shit. I don't know how old the plugs are, but I'm guessing the spark plugs are about as old as this screwed radiator cap, so I'm going to take the plugs out and show you guys what I find. I'm not going to show you the boring bits. I'm not really a big fan of this Delphi alternator because it's got this shield thing, and the bolt for the retaining bracket just sits right on top of this thing, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it also looks like the diodes for this alternator kind of stick out in the back. You're not going to see it, but yeah, I don't like it. Really, it's not as good as the original, but it is sort of pretty new alternator. Oh well. Also, I might get the multimeter out and check the resistance of the, well, I can really only check the secondaries on the coils, because the multimeter probes don't fit up the little slits in these coils for the blades, terminal blades. So I'll check the lead resistance and the secondary coil resistance, and you know, they all should be pretty much the same. Obviously a longer lead's going to have slightly higher resistance, but it's not going to be much different. Well, just as I suspected, every one of these spark plugs was loose. I could have undone them with the little finger on the end of that breaker. It's meant to be a 1/16 of a turn, but there isn't any way in hell these were. They're really old spark plugs too. The leads have been done at some point, I don't know when, probably years ago, but they're Top Gun leads, which they're not that great. They should really be the genuine article, but that's, see, all the loose spark plugs, that's why these threads are so icky and disgusting. Like if I bring them out into the light, maybe, not that there's any light really, you can see that the threads are all black from carbon. Well, no wonder it runs like such a piece of shit, because, well, it's not grounding properly through the spark plugs, because they're loose and they've got carbon around them. And carbon doesn't conduct electricity anywhere near as well as, say, steel to cast iron or whatever. You can just see that they've been, you probably can't see it because this camera is not that great, especially in the dark. You can just see that it's just not being tight enough. Like, it's only just made contact. Like, to say these were just much more than finger tights, like I could have screwed them in tighter by hand. So, I know there's shit in the way there, but there's a, you know, it's not that bad. It just people don't know what they're doing, or they're lazy. Anyway, I'll pull the rest out and see what they look like. Well, here's at least 3/4 of the reason why this thing runs like such a piece of shit. Number 5 spark lead is around 1.3 kiloohms. Number 1's about just under 900 ohms. This one here is just open circuit. It just doesn't register anything. And you can't see it, but you can sort of see that it's not shiny in there. It just looks like a piece of shit. I mean, like, you know, you can see in the light that the inside there on the right angle is shiny. It's very dull out here. See, that's shiny, but this one, just even to my eye, like, it's got the smallest amount of shine, but only because I scratched it with the multimeter. It's clearly just a rooted lead, and some dickheads used God knows what to pull these off. This number 5 lead boot's mangulated, and this one isn't much better. Like, it doesn't show up on the camera because the light's all screwy, but there you go. You can sort of just, there you are. You can see that it's just fucked. Like someone's, you know, that other one's been squashed. And this has been serviced only by mechanics. Like, it hasn't had Homer Simpson at home work on it. I don't get it. Like, it's, I'm going to have to borrow number 3 spark lead off my other car because it'll miss anyway with that lead on it. It's just infinity resistance. So here I am thinking maybe the coil pack's fucked, and well, that's why it runs like such a piece of shit. So I won't even bother pulling this lead off. I think I'll just sort of just leave it hanging and then just substitute a different spark lead. Anyway, I'll get these spark plugs in, measure the rest of the leads, and if nothing interesting shows up, I'll just continue getting it going again. Obviously not with the number 3 lead that's there that makes it run like shit. Well, I've temporarily stolen a lead off my green car, which has got the bonnet up right over there, because this lead is screwed. Like, it just doesn't read anything at all. I have no idea how this thing has been firing whatsoever. Only the fact that, and it has been firing, like, it's probably the darker of these 3, or actually I don't think so. I think number 3 is this one, the lighter coloured one. Maybe it's just been a total dead miss, but you'd expect it to be black, so it certainly missed its arse off under load. But I just want to show you guys, I probably can't get the end of the lead real easy. The stupid camera strap hooks on everything, which is a huge nuisance. This is why you buy a genuine lead. This is this horrible Top Gun lead, which is an absolute piece of shit. This is a General Motors Holden ignition lead, and you know, like, it's just a much better lead. Heaps better. It seals better on the spark plug. The terminal's, you know, plated with something, I'm not exactly sure what. This is just, why do people buy the cheapest shit leads? I know someone's going to say because they're on a budget. This was serviced by mechanics. It wasn't serviced by DIYers. So the mechanics use the cheapest lead they could get, then probably charge the customer the same thing. But these leads are cheaper. These genuine General Motors Holden leads are cheaper than the aftermarket ones. So check the bloody dealerships. Go on bloody eBay, because eBay often sells shit, or well, rather Holden dealers often sell shit via eBay, excess stock and all that sort of shit. Like, a lot of these Holden dealers in Melbourne, for example, Melbourne, Australia, they put together service packs of filters and spark plug leads and spark plugs and shit, and they're really, really cheap. They're a hell of a lot cheaper than going to Repco or your local auto parts and buying them. I mean, you are buying from somewhere in Australia. It's a Holden dealer. It's not like you're buying it direct from China. But I'm going to pinch this lead temporarily, then move all the shit out of the way, all these dirty old spark plugs and shit. Make sure you do these up tight, but not stupidly tight, because I keep seeing people cut through the duct by tightening the crap out of them. But you need to do them firm, because basically between the head and here there can't be any leaks, because this is an airflow sensor or meter that's measuring the air going in, so it has to be correct or it won't run properly. So I'm going to put the lead on and fire it up. I also forgot to mention, one of the nice things about the factory leads as opposed to these pieces of shit Top Gun leads is they print the cylinder number on it, so at the other end it makes it lots easier to figure out which cylinder you're plugging into where. So I'm not exactly sure why the other aftermarket leads are custom length for this exact engine. They're only made for this engine, but they don't bloody print the stupid cylinder number on the lead. So buy the genuine thing. I know I keep saying it, but I keep working on cars that people use shit on, like these Sakura crap oil filters that are made in Indonesia that are an absolute piece of shit. I've had a couple that I've used, because I didn't know anything about them, where the filter element started to come apart, started to be sucked in, and no, the filter wasn't old. It was only, 10,000 Ks old. So buy a proper brand name filter, like an AC Delco, even a Purolator, ideally the genuine article. AC Delco is close enough, it is the OEM filter for the older Commodores. So anyway, let's fire this up and see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't backfire, hopefully I got the firing order correct. I'm expecting it to run a bit better. Well, that sounds a whole lot better. That also was that also included a lot of CRC in the intake manifold, because I gave the throttle body a clean out. It's got a high idle because it's actually cold start. Let's go over here and let's see what the tailpipe. That sounds a whole lot better. See? No missing anymore. I'm not going to say that it's cured the miss because apparently it does have head gasket problems, so let's rev it up. Don't worry, the smoke's only CRC that I used to clean the spark plug seats. This runs remarkably better. I still think the idle speed control valve's a bit slower than it should be. It'll burn off all that shit soon, but it runs almost smooth. Like it's, I'm not going to say it's dead smooth, but tell you what, it's a hell of a lot smoother than it was. To give you an idea how rough the engine was, like the socket just sits there now. Well, it wouldn't have sat there before this, so I'm going to let it run and maybe warm up a bit. I'll have to take the spark lead back because the one that's off my car that's registered. Also, I'd like to point out that the idle speed was all over the joint, like it would just suddenly idle really fast and then come back down again, so I'm really hoping that this is all it was because, yeah, shitloads more stable. The idle speed's actually nice and stable too. Switch is a bit dicky for the... Yeah, it's nice. Runs like $1 million. Certainly runs a hell of a lot better than it did. Yeah, like I said, obviously the spark leads are shagged. And also they're shit Top Gun leads, but runs like a brand new car, so maintenance, and yeah, maybe once in a while open your car bonnet and have a look at what's actually being done, because if the spark plugs look like this, you know, sticking out of your head, well, they probably haven't been done for a while, because when they're brand new plugs, you can't see it because of the darkness, but they're shiny and new. Like, get a mirror and shove it down there and have a look. Don't be afraid of checking air filters and stuff after your car's been serviced, and tell your mechanic to use ideally genuine parts if possible, and if they're miles more expensive, tell them to use decent quality aftermarket bits, because these Top Gun leads are crap. They're not worth having. They don't seal properly. Where the lead enters the boot, they're not a tight fit. They bloody leak water. The terminals on all the ones on this side are corroded. The ones on this side are not as bad. Anyway, thanks for watching.